Hey everyone, it's Desiree, and I am here for Spellbinders to show their stamp set of the month, and this one's for May 2019. The stamp set is from Fun Stamper's Journey, and it's called Natural Dreamer. And there's two beautiful facial images with beautiful florals and butterflies and birds just surrounding them, and then some great sentiments in some different fonts. Now, the sentiment, of course, that really stuck out to me was the one that says, you are an inspiration. So what I did, or how I'm going to start, I grabbed a piece of watercolor paper. Now, this is actually hot press. So it is smooth. There's no texture to it. And I'm going to take my one image, and I fell in love with the image of the profile of the girl and all of those florals and butterflies and birds coming off from her. So I have those set in place, and I'm going to use, I believe this is my Gina K Amalgam Black ink. And I did stamp that about 3 times because I wanted to make sure the black was crisp. I pulled out my skin tones of my Copics. Now, I know this is on watercolor, but you can use your alcohol markers on other papers. It doesn't always have to be smooth. And I'm just touching it with the very fine point. This is the pack that I use the most of my Copics. It maps out the skin tones for me. I do not have to think. So, with that, I'm only going to use my alcohol markers on the face because I can get a beautiful image with the face. So, I'm using all of the tones, all of the shades so that I can get her face the way that I want that to look. I could have also used my colored pencils, but I know I did not want to paint it. I did know that I wanted this to be almost solid, so to speak, or natural. That's what I'm looking for, the word. I wanted that to be natural. I did put blush on her cheeks. And then I pulled out a very dark purple, because that's really the color of lipsticks I always wear. They're almost black, the ones that I wear. So I figured she needed that. I pulled out one of my wooden boards and my blue painter's tape, and I am going to tape this down because we are going to do some watercoloring with our distress inks. Now, the color of inks that I'm going to use today are Festive Berries, Spiced Marmalade, Mustard Seed, Peeled Paint, Broken China, Wilted Violet, and also Black Soot. So you can see I've got this idea of a rainbow. And these are usually the colors that I will go for when it comes to a rainbow. So the piece that I have there to the right, that is by Altenew. It is actually a piece of plastic, and I use that for a palette. I have the mini ink cubes, so I'm just going to take those and squish those down onto this palette here. Trying to remember to keep them in rainbow order because I will mess something up. Now, the black soot will come in later, so I didn't want you all to think that that was going to be part of my rainbow. I have my water ready. I'm going to be grabbing a brush, and now I'm just going to start in basically her hair, where all of this is sitting. I want the rainbow to come out from this. So I'm just going to make sure that these trail coming out away from her, as if this is a thought, or I don't know. It was just something that I saw. Now, when I'm down in her hair in that bouquet that's surrounding her, I do want to make sure that I'm staying within those lines. I didn't want it to be total chaos when it came to these. I wanted to make sure that I had the two outers set first so that I could evenly distribute the colors that are inside. Now, I do have 6 colors here. And you can see, and I will be able to blend out those lines. You can see that these lines they're looking harsh right now, but the beauty of the Distress inks is that they will reactivate with water. So as I continue to put in my second layer, once they're set, when I come in with that next layer, I'm able to blur those lines out. And they will blur. It doesn't look like it, but they do blur. And again, that's just by going back and forth, making sure that I've got that water movement going on with these. So I know the blue and the purple look a little harsh, but they do actually lighten up as it continues to dry. I'm using my heat tool, my Ranger heat tool, so that I can make sure that this is dry. I'm using the black soot for splatter, because of course we've got to have some splatter going on here. And I didn't want them to bleed. I wanted them to stay the splats that I was creating coming off of this. I did focus on the rainbow that's coming from her. Sorry about that. My camera was focusing in on my hand as it kept on going. And you can see that's what our inspiration looks like. I'm going to carefully remove my painter's tape, and to do that I literally just fold it back on itself whenever I'm removing my tape from my watercolor panel. So I pulled out my hem stitch rectangles from Spellbinders, and I'm just going to use the largest of the dies. So this is just going to cut a rectangle for me. My card base is going to be a standard A2 size card base. Now, of course, it's going to be a landscape, but its standard A2 size is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Normally, mine are top folding. We're just going to turn it, and it's going to turn into a side folding card base. I'm not going to prop anything up. I'm going to put this directly down onto the card base. Using my liquid adhesive. Since it is a watercolor panel, I'll always use liquid adhesive or my double-sided adhesive, my 2-inch film tape. So I know she needed more sparkle, she needed more shine, but I also knew at the same time that my card base was black. So I've gotten a couple of questions, or a few questions. You know, when you use a dark card base, how do you handle the inside? It could be one of two ways. First way is I could sign it using a white gel pen. The other way is to cut a rectangle panel, or any type of panel. It could be a shape, doesn't have to be a rectangle. I chose to actually use the hem stitch again, but use the hem stitch section as well as one of the solid dies. I'm going to set it on an angle, and now I can use a regular pen and just fill that in as I need to. I grabbed my Spectrum Noir sparkle pen, and I'm going to fill in the bouquet that's coming off of her. Now remember, your sparkle pens, whether it's the Nouveau Aqua Shimmer or the Spectrum Noir, or if you have any others, It will move the ink. So keep that in mind as you're moving through this. It will pick up that ink just a little bit. I then dug into my Nuvo drops and I found a color for each of the colors of the rainbow, and I'm going to use these for the center of the flowers within the bouquet that's coming from the halo that's coming around from her. So of course I've got the red, the pumpkin orange, I believe this is dandelion. I forget the names. I don't have them in front of me. I apologize. I know this is green apple. And I'm just filling in those sections. So wherever they are in the rainbow, that's the color of Nuvo drop that I used. The blue is a little bit lighter, but the other blue that I have is very dark. So I didn't want that dark contrast. I wanted to keep it natural. Now, the beauty of it, again, your Nuvo drops have moisture in it. So this is actually going to pick up some of the colors of the ink that's below. So I do hope you enjoyed this project using Spellbinders Stamp Set Kit of the Month for May 2019. All the products that I used will be linked down below. Those questions and comments you may have, please leave those down below as well, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. I want to thank you so much for stopping by and seeing today's video. If you haven't already, I would love for you to subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell and so that you don't miss the next video. I hope everyone's having a great day. Remember, take care. But remember what's most important for me. Always be creative.